let's talk about the gang, the Rolling 60 Crips, right? Let's take the elephant. We're going to remove the elephant out of the room. Okay. We're going to talk about the Rolling 60s. They're a project. And it was the fruit for me to make something that was so phenomenal that people couldn't deny it.
Big U is not only fighting for his freedom, he is...
Welcome to another episode, everyone. And we're going to inside Big U's $1 million LA empire. Big U, Rolling 60s, under a RICO Act, his $1 million LA empire. Basically, his life. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so, please.
Fighting to hold on to his wealth. Forbes currently estimates his net worth at only a few $1 million, a sharp drop from figures reported just a few years ago. And that number could continue to fall. Federal prosecutors are moving forward with asset forfeiture tied to alleged criminal conduct. If convicted, Big U could lose everything from luxury real estate to ownership stakes in various projects. In response, he has hired one of the top specialists in the field to lead his defense team against the government's large-scale asset seizure effort. But is that enough? Do not look away. Right now, we are going to break down the massive fortune that Big U is trying to hide from the judge ahead of the next court hearing. Let's begin. Childhood and the seeds of power. Big U's real name is Eugene Henley Jr., born in 1967 at the height of the Civil Rights Movement in the United States. His family was part of the Great Migration from the South to Los Angeles, a movement that permanently reshaped the demographics and power structure of the West Coast. His parents came from Mississippi, where the family had directly endured the brutal realities of the Jim Crow system. On their search for a new foothold, they stopped in Chicago, a quiet but significant turning point. Big U's father was allegedly connected to powerful street figures, including members of the Black P. Stone Nation, one of the earliest and most influential organized black gangs in America. Power for Big U was not an abstract concept. It appeared early embedded in the family atmosphere itself. The family later settled in South Central Los Angeles, specifically around 81st Street and Hoover. For those unfamiliar with Los Angeles geography, this was no ordinary neighborhood. This was the epicenter of what would later become the most notorious gang culture in American history. The Watts riots had erupted just 1 year before Big U was born, and their aftershocks left South Central trapped in economic devastation, community collapse, and social chaos for decades. Over time, the harshest elements of life began to shape him. In an environment where violence became a shared language, Big U quickly chose his colors, aligning himself with the Rolling 60s neighborhood Crips, one of the most powerful Crips sets in Los Angeles. This was not merely a personal choice. It was an entry into an alternative power structure that replaced both family and the state. During his teenage years in the late 1970s and early 1980s, Big U began to display traits that would later make him especially dangerous. Standing about 1.88 meters tall with the build of a football player, he imposed himself physically. More unsettling, however, was his natural charisma and intelligence, which set him apart from other street figures.
188 meters tall. What the hell? Who the hell is this? This must be AI. But it's still a story. It's still a script. It's still his life story. Sheesh. 188 meters tall.
During this period, Big U was repeatedly arrested. The charges ranged from robbery to conspiracy to murder a police officer. Yet what stands out is how rarely those charges led to final outcomes. A review of court records and police reports from that era reveals a recurring pattern. Witnesses disappeared, evidence went missing, and cases collapsed just before trial. By 1991, Big U's luck finally ran out. He was arrested in a federal sting operation. Big U and his crew attempted to rob 33 pounds of cocaine from someone they believed was a drug dealer, who was in fact an undercover federal agent. In prison, Big U met Harry O, a powerful Los Angeles figure, alleged to have played a key role in helping Suge Knight found Death Row Records. The relationship between Big U and Harry O is believed to have been critical to Big U's later entry into the music industry. When Big U returned to the streets in 2004, the world had completely changed. Hip-hop had become a multi-billion-dollar industry with Los Angeles at its core. The internet was transforming how music was distributed and consumed, opening doors for young artists to build independent careers. But Big U saw what many other street figures missed. He realized that the real money was no longer in drugs. It was in controlling artists. The music pathway, a heavy-duty money machine. Developing Options was the legitimate pass that allowed Big U to enter that space. On the surface, it appeared to be a community organization built around the image of a reformed former gangster focused on violence intervention, youth football training, and food distribution programs. But at a deeper level, Developing Options gave Big U 3 critical advantages. First, it provided legitimate cover to stand alongside artists, athletes, and politicians without raising suspicion. Second, it granted access to public funds grants and community financing. And third, most important of all, it positioned him as a so-called street peacekeeper, a role no one officially appointed, but everyone quietly acknowledged. From there, Big U no longer needed to call himself a manager. He became a kind of street executive. When an artist wanted to shoot a video in a sensitive area, Big U could ensure safety. When two groups were in conflict, Big U could handle the issue. When an artist from outside Los Angeles wanted to do business in the city, Big U was the person they were advised to contact. In return, artists were expected to check in pay fees, share profits, or comply with unspoken directives about collaborations, locations, and public statements. No paperwork, no signatures, only power and fear. According to federal allegations, the cash flow from this model was substantial. For smaller artists, the so-called street tax might amount to only a few $1,000s per appearance. But for major artists, the numbers could reach tens, even hundreds of thousands of dollars for a single project tour or period of activity in Los Angeles. In addition, Big U is alleged to have taken percentages from revenue royalties or business deals where he had influence or leverage. Alongside this were legal and semi-legal income streams. Developing Options received millions of dollars in public funding for community programs. According to the allegations, a significant portion of that money was extracted as salaries, management fees, and expenses that did not directly serve social objectives. The overlap between community funds, entertainment money, and street money created a system where it became extremely difficult to
Well, one thing's for sure, this is all alleged. Because nobody knows what happened. He's in there fighting the case, fighting the RICO. I guess maybe this is some of the charges that they got on him, misappropriation of funds and all this, whatever. I remember the people that had arrested him had gave a press conference, gave a statement, and the list of charges that they had on him and how long they've been watching him and all of this stuff. But all of this stuff is just alleged, just for the record. I mean, no one really knows what happened at this point because he's fighting charges. He hasn't been found guilty of anything.
distinguish what was legal and what was criminal. The case of Nipsey Hussle illustrates this trajectory most clearly. It began as mentorship support and access. But according to the allegations, the relationship gradually shifted toward control, interference, and coercion. From patron Big U allegedly became a shadow manager, then a figure holding power over both career direction and personal safety. In addition, his cash flow followed individual projects, especially activities taking place in Los Angeles, such as music video shoots, live shows, hip-hop events, or entertainment-infused community programs. For smaller or independent artists, the alleged check-in and security fees typically ranged from about $2,000 to $10,000 per appearance, depending on location and perceived risk. For larger projects, such as high-budget music videos, crowded club performances, or well-known artists, the amounts were said to range from $20,000 to $50,000 and could exceed $100,000 when multiple shoot days, multiple sensitive locations, or major out-of-town artists were involved. This was fast project-based money requiring no contracts and no upfront investment yet. According to allegations, it generated steady income that was extremely difficult to trace. In this way, Big U remained active in the industry for 20 years, and what he accumulated was far from small. Now let us step into Big U's paradise. Million-dollar real estate. When people talk about Big U's empire, many expect the image of a hillside mansion, towering iron gates, an infinity pool, and glittering Hollywood lights. But Big U did not build power that way. He chose a different path, quieter, colder, and more dangerous. His empire began with houses standing silently in South Los Angeles, where value is not measured by display, but by the ability to endure. Big U's primary residence carries the shape of a symbol of silent power. With 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, and nearly 2,800 square feet, the space is large enough to make anyone slow down the moment they step inside. The house was built in 1936, carrying a heavy layer of time, much like the history of the area where it stands. According to Zillow, the estimated value of the home is around $1.26 million, with a range from $1.13 to $1.40 million. That number may not shock like a Bel Air mansion, but in South LA, it is a very clear statement of status. Inside, everything is governed by the language of power. White, gray, and black tones dominate the space. Cold, yet refined, creating a sense of absolute order. The wood paneling is carefully selected, not glossy or flashy, but thick, solid, and heavy. The lighting is not bright or dramatic, but restrained, as if the house has nothing to prove to the outside world. This is not the home of a rapper built for Instagram photos. This is the home of someone accustomed to sitting in silence and making decisions. Security here is not a secondary detail. Every line of...
At this point, I'm still not sure as to what he did wrong, even though I'm not here to litigate any case, and neither is this individual narrating the story, apparently, just going over his life, but and where he came from or what have you, where he was born and raised. But, we all know that he was indeed a powerful individual, a powerful figure, at least in California, in LA, in his neighborhood for some time. Some of that lore began to dissipate, it seems, prior to his incarceration. People were attacking him and all of that on the internet. People dared to attack him, people on YouTube and his young homies, like Loose Cannon and 600, these sort of individuals calling them snitches and all sort of stuff that you wouldn't think you would hear about someone like him. Not that it was true, but just that anyone would dare even say these sort of things on the internet was surprising to me, I would say, I guess.
Of sight is calculated. The gate, the entrances, the yard all feel guarded. Not loud, not performative, but always ready. In South LA, living peacefully in $1 million home for many years is already a message. Anyone who can do that has not only money, but standing. Big U's second house tells a different story. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, about 1,725 square feet, classified as a multifamily property with 2 to 4 units. Zillow estimates its value at around $737,000, with a range from $679,000 to nearly $800,000. Redfin records that the property was sold in 2020 for approximately $582,000, before Los Angeles prices surged. If the main house is where power resides, the second house smells of operations. This is a cash flow asset, with estimated rent of around $3,100 per month. No glamour, no emotion, just logic. One house to live in, one house to generate income. That is how people who truly build empires think. They do not need castles, they need structure. 2 houses with a combined value close to $2 million, not meant to impress. They exist as...
Yes, that's what people do. That's the goal. The wealth is in real estate. Everyone knows this. It's in property. It's in ownership. That's how you build wealth and build generational wealth. So yes, you want to get as much property as possible, and it's going to be a steady income. So again, he's just doing what any savvy businessman would do, what many savvy businessmen do all of the time. No crime in that.
Proof of a very different kind of wealth. Wealth quiet enough not to become a target, yet solid enough that no one dares dismiss it. In Big U's world, real estate is not just shelter, it is the foundation of power. Luxury cars. A godfather does not need to show off. When talking about Big U's assets, many expect a fleet of supercars gleaming Rolls-Royce models, or a Maybach parked at the gates of a mansion. But court records mention only one brief detail: a 2021 Mercedes. No model, No publicly listed license plate, no flashy photos, just a cold line in legal paperwork. And that absence of detail speaks louder than any luxury garage ever could. In the world of those who truly hold power, a car is not meant to impress crowds. It is a secure, discreet moving space, refined enough to avoid being underestimated, yet quiet enough not to attract unnecessary attention. A 2021 Mercedes fits that philosophy perfectly. There is no need to confirm the exact model. Looking at the reasonable possibilities already reveals the mindset behind it. If it were a 2021 C-Class, priced from about $41,600 to $54,700 USD, that would be the choice of practicality. Clean, refined, understated, yet carrying a brand strong enough to signal that the person inside is not easily accessible. If it were a 2021 E-Class starting at $54,250 USD, that would mark a move into a larger, smoother space one level higher in the unspoken hierarchy of business and power. But for those accustomed to sitting in the back seat where decisions are made in silence, the 2021 S-Class is...
So now you're going to judge him based on what type of Benz it is. He breaking down what type of Benz it is, and I guess that determines or correlates to his personality. Oh my freaking goodness.
Is the true symbol. With prices starting around $109,800 US, it does not just buy luxury, it buys separation. The rear seat of an S-Class is not for the driver, but for the one being driven. From there, the outside world fades into distant noise, while power settles into conversations no one else hears.
Man, move it along.
And if a stronger message were desired, the 2021 G550 G-Wagon priced from about $130,000.
Oh my goodness. This dude is talking about the price of the car, what kind of car it is. He's trying to guess what kind of car it is, as if it really freaking matters, man.
$1,750 US would be unmistakable. A G-Wagon does not need to be fast or smooth. It is boxy, rigid, almost confrontational. In Los Angeles, the G-Wagon is a symbol of people who do not need to prove they are wealthy, but only need to remind others that they are difficult to touch. But the most important detail is not which model Big U may have chosen. What matters is color and attitude. A black Mercedes. Black is not meant to stand out. Black is meant to disappear. Black blends into the shadows of the city where real power operates. Black is also the color of control of those who understand that the less they are seen, the safer they are. That car does not appear on social media. It is not used as a prop for display. It exists strictly for its function, moving Big U from one point to another through neighborhoods where every glance carries.
Oh, the Benz is moving them through neighborhoods in LA. You better not have a black S-Class or whatever the hell. Must mean you're an alpha male. Shot caller.
Carries meaning. That discretion is not a sign of lacking money. It is the result of experience. In Los Angeles, especially South LA, showing off a car can mean turning yourself into a target. Big U's backseat vibe is what sets him apart. The driver is not the center of the car. The person being driven is. When someone is accustomed to sitting in the back, they do not need to watch the road. They watch people. They observe reactions. They think about the next move. The car becomes a mobile boardroom where decisions are made as the city slides past the windows. The coldness in Big U's approach to cars reflects how he approaches power itself. No display needed, no noise required. A 2021 Mercedes is enough. It says he belongs to the right tier. It says he understands the rules. And most importantly, it says he does not need validation from outside eyes.
Whoa.
In hip-hop culture, cars are often symbols of success.
Man, I never knew a car said that much about a person. I mean, this. Whoa. That's what the 2021 Benz means? All of this stuff that he's explaining? Wow. Based on the color and what class it is. Oh my goodness.
Proof that someone has made it. But for Big U, the car is not a symbol of rising. It is a symbol of having stood at a high position long enough. When you no longer feel the need to show your car, it means you are showing something else.
Damn it.
It might be your network. It might be the quiet fear of others.
Oh.
It might be the ability to move through the city without anyone daring to block your path. And that is why the final question is not what Big U drives. The question lies elsewhere. When someone does not need to show their car,
It's not what he drives, but you went on for 10 minutes about what he drives and what it means.
what are they really showing? Expensive jewelry, diamond gifts. Across the entire record of Big U's assets, there is one small detail that is more unsettling than any mansion or luxury vehicle. It is the mention of a diamond chain valued at around $30,000. Not a collection, not social media flexing. Just a single piece of jewelry quietly appearing in a legal context, yet enough to reveal how Big U understands and uses luxury. That chain does not exist to flex. It is not worn to attract attention or assert personal taste. In Big U's world, diamonds are not decoration. They are gifts. And gifts in the language of power always carry layers far beyond material value. A diamond gift worth $30,000 is not simple generosity. It is a signal of status. When someone can give away an amount equal to a full year of income for many American families, with a single gesture, it is not meant to impress. It is meant to establish order. The recipient understands exactly where they stand in that relationship, and everyone around them understands as well. In this case, the diamond becomes a marker. It signals
This might be satire, man. I don't know, man. My bad. He got a right to give away a diamond necklace if he wants to. He's trying to accrue power by doing that, according to this. It's all manipulation.
that Big U does not merely have money, but has the authority to decide how money is used. Not impulsive spending, but purposeful spending. Each stone does not reflect light, but reflects
Everyone has the power to determine how their money is used.
soft power, the kind of power that never speaks, yet is always present. Luxury here does not serve pure aesthetics. It is not meant to satisfy beauty. Diamonds are not measured by craftsmanship, but by the message they deliver. A chain worth $30,000 says the giver does not need to hold tightly to assets. They can let them flow because their real resources do not sit in a single object. They sit in the ability to create and control the movement of those objects. In hip-hop culture, jewelry often symbolizes success, escape from poverty, and entry into a world of excess. But for Big U, diamonds do not.
No, not really. Not in hip hop, because some of them dudes wear fake diamonds. They wear fake jewelry. They've already said this. They've admitted to this. Tyree said all the jewelry that he wears is from Walmart or somewhere.
Not mark ascent. They mark stability at the top. When you have stood long enough in a position of power, you do not use luxury to prove who you are. You use it to remind others where they are. What makes this detail quietly shocking is not the number 30,000 USD. For many wealthy people, that is just an expense. The shock lies in the context. When a luxury item appears as part of a flow of power, it shows how money is used as a communication tool. Diamonds become a language, and not everyone speaks that language. In Big U's world, where power is never declared publicly, everything operates through implication. A single chain can say more than hundreds of spoken affirmations. It says that Big U is close enough to give, distant enough not to explain, and strong enough that his actions are not questioned. The recipient does not just receive an object. They receive an unspoken message of protection, connection, and the invisible obligations that come with it. That is why the diamond here is no longer jewelry. It is a statement of position, a statement never written down, never read aloud, but
this really shows you that, people can take any situation with you in your life and paint a narrative, paint a story, make you look a certain way, make you look guilty about something. They can take a kind gesture and turn it into something malignant. The man giving away a diamond chain as a gift to whomever, and this man then twisted it into making it seem like it's a power grab, it's Manipulation is him asserting his dominance instead of him just being a generous man who gave someone a diamond necklace. My goodness.
Clearly understood within certain circles. Luxury in this case does not serve the ego. It serves the structure of power. When looking at that 30,000 USD chain, outsiders may see waste. But those who understand the game see an investment in influence, a way to reinforce position without violence or threats. The diamond does that work for Big U quietly but effectively. And then the larger question slowly emerges without needing to be spoken. When others pay so that you can spend, who truly owns whom? Charity, light or shield? After all the years of violence, prison, and street power, Big U appeared before the public with a completely different face. No longer the figure behind conflicts, he stood on the front lines of violence intervention programs, youth support, and community rebuilding. Basketball courts were built, speaking events were organized, children were pulled out of the same spiral he himself had once been trapped in. To many, it looked like a journey of redemption. In the eyes of the community, Big U became Coach U, the man who understood the streets better than anyone, and used that understanding to pull others out of the dark. The surface impact of these activities cannot be denied. In South Los Angeles, where violence is often inherited across generations, having a figure with enough credibility to step into hot neighborhoods, speak to skeptical groups of young people, and make them listen is rare in itself. For many families, Big U was not a symbol of power, but someone who showed up at the right time in the right place when official systems failed to do so. The light of charity in this case was real. But from here, the story begins to grow more complex. Because charity at this level is not just kindness, it is power. When an individual organizes coordinates and distributes resources to a community, they are not only helping, they are shaping direction. They decide who gets saved first, who must wait, and who is left behind. In a space where trust in government is thin, the person who controls money and opportunity becomes the center of every narrative. Big U understood this better than anyone. He knew that controlling resources meant controlling the future of children searching for a way out. Playgrounds were not just places for fun. They were safe spaces, alternatives to the streets. But who sets the rules in those spaces? Who defines the standards, the messages, and the limits? When charity becomes a system, it carries its own power structure. This is where the contradiction lies. On one hand, Big U was praised for saving lives, for using his influence to reduce violence and create opportunity. On the other hand, that same influence caused many to ask questions. When one individual has the ability to guide an entire generation of youth, is that liberation, or a more subtle form of control? Charity in this case was not just an action. It was a position. A sense of hesitation emerged when people realized that every light casts a shadow. Community programs need funding. Funding needs decision makers. And decision makers, whether they intend to or not, shape the story through their own perspective. Big U was not outside this rule. He was someone who understood how power operates from the streets to the boardroom. When he stepped into the role of community savior, he brought all of that experience with him. This does not automatically make charity a bad thing, but it forces deeper scrutiny. In a city where multiple generations have been abandoned, one individual filling the gap left by the state is both a lifeline and a sign of systemic failure. Big U became a symbol of both. He was a helper, and at the same time, proof that informal power can sometimes be more effective than official authority. The moral tension sits right here. If those efforts reduce violence and give children alternatives, does the motive behind them still matter? Or is the motive precisely what must be examined? When someone who once rose through violence now stands to prevent violence, is that growth or a transformation of the same power mechanism? The audience is not led to a ready-made answer.
No, I'm going to say that that's growth. The hell? If he used to be violent and now he's trying to prevent violence, he's trying to help the youth, I'm going to say that that's growth. That's maturity. That's someone transforming their lives and transforming other people's lives and saving individuals from a lifetime of turmoil.
They are forced to judge for themselves because no one except the community living in those neighborhoods can fully assess the true impact. For many children, Big U may have been the person who saved them from a dark future, but for others, he may have been the center of a new order, where power was redistributed under the cover of goodwill. Charity in this story is no longer a pure concept. It is a gray zone where light and shadow overlap. And it is precisely that gray zone that makes Big U's story harder to grasp than any luxury car or diamond chain ever could. In the end, the question is not whether Big U engaged in charity or not. The question lies deeper. Charity can be good, but who gets to decide that Big U had a massive legacy? As the story comes to a close, the first thing that must be made clear is that Big U did not leave the hip-hop world an album. There is no record bearing his name, no tour, no hit song for people to play and reminisce over. If legacy is measured by the familiar standards of the music industry, Big U almost does not exist, but it is in that absence that his true legacy begins to appear. What Big U left behind first and foremost was a generation of artists, not in the sense that he wrote music or performed with them, but in the sense that he opened doors, sponsored them, and shaped how they entered the game.
When someone was robbed or
For many West Coast artists, especially those from South Los Angeles, Big U was the figure standing at the fragile boundary between the streets and the industry. He did not teach them how to write songs. He taught them how to survive, how to stay alive, how to read situations, and how not to be crushed by a system that shows little mercy to the vulnerable. But Big U's legacy does not stop with individual people. He left behind a backstage power system that outsiders rarely see. It is a network of relationships, unspoken deals, and unwritten rules that govern how West Coast hip-hop operates. In that system, music is only the surface. Beneath it lies control of space community influence and the ability to regulate conflict. Big U did not stand on stage, but he was present where the most important decisions were made. What makes this legacy difficult to grasp is that it has no clear shape, no monuments, no charts, only ripple effect stories retold in studios and closed-door meetings, and in the memories of those who once crossed the line between life and death. Big U is not remembered through melodies, but through how he operated hip-hop as a living system, where every decision carried long-term consequences. The year 2025 became a defining moment. It was when that legacy was re-examined no longer only through respect or fear, but through harsher questions. As hip-hop became a multi-billion-dollar global industry, backstage figures like Big U could no longer remain outside the spotlight. People began to question the origins of power, the boundary between mentorship and control, between helping communities and re-establishing old power structures in new forms. The emotion left behind is not a final judgment. It is quiet reflection, a lingering echo that forces listeners to rethink how they understand hip-hop. Big U does not fit neatly into a single role. He is not purely a hero, nor can he be reduced to a villain. He is a product of a city, an era, and a chain of choices, each carrying its own cost. Big U's legacy lies in showing that real power in hip-hop does not always belong to the person holding the microphone. It belongs to those who understand structure, understand people, and understand timing. It is an uncomfortable truth, but one that cannot be ignored if the history of the West Coast is to be fully understood. And it is precisely that discomfort that makes this legacy impossible to forget. In the end, there is no closing conclusion to this story. Only a question left hanging heavy enough for each person to answer in their own way. Will Big U be remembered as a community savior, or as the final symbol of street-level power in hip-hop?
Well, we don't know that yet, because Big U's life is not over. He's fighting a case. We don't know how the case is going to end. No one does at this juncture. So we don't know how his life is going to end, and or, he may still be building his legacy. And even according to the narrator here, he cannot grasp his legacy right now. Basically, the jury is still out on it. He doesn't know if he was covering up anything or if he was legitimately helping these children. He's basically admitting that you can't say that. And that's what I'm saying. That he's innocent to proven guilty. And from everything that I'm seeing, he was helping the youth. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. Y'all let me know in the comments. Was it a ploy, a scam? Was he getting money from this gang prevention stuff? But it doesn't really matter if he was getting money from them if he was still helping the youth. If he was doing gang prevention legitimately and sincerely, genuinely getting people off of the street, then that's priceless. Of course, the operative word being if. I don't know. I don't know the man. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Stay safe and stay free, people.